Undoubtedly the greatest monarch of the Central African state of the Kanem-Bornu dynasty, Idris Alooma remains the only Bornu king whose name has stood the test of time. Alooma was a contemporary of the Tudor Queen Elizabeth I of England. Idris Alooma was Mai or king of the Kanem-Bornu Empire, which was located mainly in present-day Chad and Nigeria. An outstanding statesman, Kanem-Bornu reached the zenith of his power under his rule. Alooma is remembered for his military skills, administrative reform, and Islamic piety. His contributions are primarily known via his chronicler Ahmad bin Fartua. In the course of his reign, Idris Alooma avoided Ngazargamu, the capital city, choosing to set up his palace in Ngazargamu, 5 kilometers north near the Yobe River. The city was red stone, leading to a new architecture using red bricks that were typical of his reign. To this day, some of the murals still remain in Ngazargamu and are over 3 meters in height. These are the remains of a powerful empire. Alooma's major adversaries were the Hausa to the west, the Tuareg and Tubo to the north, and the Bulala to the east. An epic poem extols his victories in 330 wars and more than 1,000 battles. Alooma's inventions included the use of fixed military camps with walls, permanent sieges, and scorched earth tactics, where soldiers burnt everything in their path, mounted horses and riders, and the use of Berber camels, Kotoko boatmen, and iron helmet musketeers trained by his Turkish military advisors. His strong diplomacy included relations with Tripoli, Egypt, and the Ottoman Empire, which sent a 200-member embassy party across the desert to the court of Mai Idris Alooma in Ngazargamu. Alooma also signed what was probably the first recorded treaty or truce in Kanem-Bornu history. The Mai also implemented a range of legal and institutional reforms focused on its religious values and Islamic law. He funded the building of several mosques and made a pilgrimage to Mecca, where he arranged for the establishment of a hostel to be used by the pilgrims of his empire. Unlike other diverse politicians, Idris Alooma's reformist goals have led him to pursue reliable and professional advisors and allies. Idris Alooma frequently received advice from a council made up of the heads of the most powerful clans. He called for major political figures to stay in court and reinforced political alliances through acceptable marriages. Alooma himself had a Kanuri father and a Bulala mother. Kanem-Bornu under Alooma was powerful and wealthy. Government revenue came from tributes, taxes, and trade. Alooma took a keen interest in trade and other economic issues like clearing the roads, creating better boats for Lake Chad, building uniform grain measuring units, and shifting farmers to new lands. He also increased the ease and protection of travel across the empire with the intention of making it so safe that a lone woman dressed in gold could walk with no one to fear but God. Dr. Erich Barth, the 19th century German traveler, described Idris Alooma as an excellent prince uniting in himself the most opposite qualities: warlike energy, combined with madness and intelligence, courage with circumspection and patience, severity with pious feelings. The military prowess of Idris Alooma was outstanding. His army was probably the first in Africa to have muskets, which he procured from the Ottoman Empire. Like his Songhai contemporaries, he was a patron of learning, attracting scholars from many other African countries to live in Bornu. He also improved navigation on the Yobe River, as he had initially ordered the construction of larger flat-bottomed vessels for his fleet. For land transport, he introduced a much larger number of camels to reduce the reliance on mules, oxen, and donkeys. The great Mai was also an architect, erecting new brick mosques in the cities that replaced the old structures. After the fall of Songhai in 1591, Idris Alooma became the undisputed champion of the Muslims of the city. The empire then became the Bornu Caliphate and also became the leading Islamic power in Black Africa. It was a caliphate that served all of Africa. The capital city was called Ngazargamu, and it was one of the largest cities on earth. In 1658, according to the architectural scholar Suzadenya, the metropolis housed about 250,000 people. There were 660 avenues. Many of them were broad and unbending, indicative of town planning. The architecture of the high street lined on both sides with trees offering shade. Such buildings had to be built on an unprecedented scale. Heinrich Barth, who studied the remains of these walls during the 19th century, declared that their workmanship was of the same quality as the finest masonry that he had seen in Europe. Ngazargamu was the capital of the Kanem-Bornu Empire from around the year 1460 to 1809. Located 150 kilometers west of Lake Chad in Yobe state of modern Nigeria, the impressive remains of the city can still be seen. The outer wall is 6.6 kilometers long and up to 5 meters high in sections. The town was founded by Mai Aligaji, who ruled from 1455 to 1487 after the ultimate defeat of the Dawoodid branch of the ruling Safawa dynasty. The city was then an important hub for trade and learning and home to about 20,000 inhabitants at its height. In 1809, after several years of indecisive fighting, Ngazargamu was besieged and destroyed in the Fulani Jihad by Ibrahim Zaki Kalbi, also known as Malam Zaki, the founder of Katagum, in 1814. In February 2018, the Yobe state government of Nigeria announced plans to preserve and protect the ruins of Ngazargamu, which has potential for tourism and research, and to transform it into a cultural and historical center, as well as to make it a possible World Heritage Site. The name Alooma is a posthumous surname for Idris. It was named after the spot where he was buried, Alo or Alao. At the age of 25 or 26, he was proclaimed king or May. He ruled from 1564 to 1596 according to the Diwan. He died in the Bagreme campaign where he was mortally wounded. Later, he was buried in the Lake Alo, south of the real Maiduguri. That is why it's called Alooma. There is just too much evidence that pre-colonial Africa teemed with constructions and developments that even rivaled Europe. Our kings and queens were once like imperial Europeans. They ruled over vast lands and commanded a powerful and central army. Unfortunately, these kingdoms fell into ruin, and in the 1700s and 1800s, the scramble for Africa and the European colonization saw a lot of history ruined, stolen, or lost. Nearly all knowledge of these kings who ruled in lands extending from West Africa to East Africa is gone. What we now know are only bits and pieces of information. Nonetheless, we will continue to research them to bring you untold stories in African history.